Difficult. Women.
Well, hello.
Hello. Long time no see.
I know. Where have you been, stranger?
I've been over here. Where have you been?
I've been out of the country.
I see. Well, I'm Katy.
And I'm Marie, and this is the Difficult Women podcast, and we're so excited to be back after a couple weeks of no episodes. I'm sure you guys have probably noticed by now. We're not doing.
You've noticed.
Yeah, I hope so. Guys, bring it in. Let's do a quick little Difficult Women huddle. We're not going to do every Tuesday episodes anymore. That's the plan, right?
Yes. I mean, we have like a lot of other projects going on that we're really excited about. One of which is our new album that is coming out. And we're excited about that. But to really make sure that we give our little baby a fair chance in this world, this crazy world we live in, we got to put a little bit more attention onto that. So we found that the pod was just, we love it. We love you. We were still around. We're here. We're putting out some episodes, but it was just very taxing on us to be doing it every single week, and then also try to have a regular job, and then also try to do the album, and then also try to like live a life that's normal. It's not easy, you guys. We need an intern.
If anything we've learned this past year is that life is worth living, and you got to take every day and live it up, and that's what we're gonna do. So anyway, going forward, we're doing quality, not quantity. Okay, guys. So speaking of which, we got a hell of a show today. But first, we have to talk about how you feeling over there, Katy.
Yes. So I would like to say I finally caught COVID, or as I like to say, it caught me.
Wow, I gotcha.
I'm like dying over here. Some of y'all that had like no symptoms, fuck y'all, because I'm not well. I'm like not well. It's like I could not be more grateful for the vaccine, because I'm probably one of those people that'd be dead. I don't really know, because I do not feel good, and I mean, we are so lucky. So fucking lucky to have this vaccine, and then people who are not taking it for whatever, if you have a medical reason why you're not taking it, okay, but everybody else, like, y'all are so stupid, because this is not a joke. And like it's been like, yeah, like I guess like the flu times a cold times like difficulty breathing, like it's not fun. And I'm hopeful that the vaccine means that I won't be doing a whole 2 week of this, because that's what it used to be. But and a lot of people that I've been hearing that have been not feeling well with it, it comes and goes pretty quickly, hopefully, but we'll see. Pray for me.
So sorry.
No, it's awful.
So sorry.
And it's just, this is a great lesson as to why, we want to pretend like this thing is over, and it is not over. And the minute they took the mask mandate out of New York City, everybody got it. Everybody in New York City is getting sick again. Anybody that hasn't had it is like getting it now. I know a good 10 or 11 people right now that have it. So it's coming for y'all. New York is always the first, but it's coming. And so continue, even if, people make fun of you for wearing your mask, keep it on. You don't want this if you can help it. Well,
we are wishing you a speedy recovery.
Thanks. My brain's a little melty, so we'll see how this goes. But we are very excited about our guest. I don't know what I'm saying. Our guest today, I'm melting. We're so excited to have her on. Barrie Kealoha. She is an actress, singer, a bilingual voiceover artist, and an all-over badass, and someone who is now without fallopian tubes. And we're so excited to talk to her about that. Welcome. Thank you for being here.
Thank you so much for having me on. Woo!
Congratulations.
Congratulations.
I mean, yes, that is the correct response. Thank you. It has been a journey. It has been 2 decades of me trying to get this procedure done. And I finally fucking did it. I'm sorry, am I allowed to curse on this?
Yes, of course. Yeah. Absolutely.
Fucking standing. Great. Yeah. It took me 20 years. It took me multiple attempts of talking to different doctors and GPs and God, anybody who would help me, and being told no 100 times and then being finally told yes once. And I was like, great, yes, let's do it.
Wow.
And
Plenty of free.
Yeah. And just for our listeners that might be like, oh, what is this all about? Like, if you don't know, it is just prohibitively impossible to, as a woman, to just easily get your tubes tied or get a tubal ligation, as it's more officially called.
Ligation.
Ligation.
You don't want to litigate
litigation.
against your
Oh my God. Like, you know, this is COVID brain. COVID brain is creeping in now.
I just had the best mental image of like my little fallopian tubes with little like barrister wigs on, like,
Yeah, Ruth Bader Ginsburg
exactly.
is like, she comes out.
That's about right.
She'd be so on top of it.
They're fighting
she's
for
who
their
narrates it.
And they're fighting for their rights to get out. So, I mean,
Yes,
it makes sense.
exactly.
Do you mind talking about that a little bit more? I mean, have you always known that you've never wanted children?
Always. Even when I was a wee baby bairn who didn't know a single thing about the birds and the bees, I didn't really play with baby dolls when I was a kid. I was playing with full-grown ass Barbies. She was dressed like an astronaut. We had dreams. We had ambitions.
Love it.
She had a little briefcase. It was cute. But yeah, I've never. I'm the youngest of three, so I didn't have any younger siblings who were babies when I was like cognizant of it. So that may have played into it. Who's to say? But yeah, even with like friends of mine who had siblings who were babies, I was never like, oh my God, your little brother. I was never really drawn. And you know, babies are adorable, and if you give me your baby, I will bounce it on my knee and I will make it giggle and I will make silly faces at it, and then I will give it back to you. and we will both have had a wonderful day, and everybody goes home happy. But yeah, it was never a draw for me. There was never any like phobia, because I know that's something that a lot of women deal with, like a literal phobia of being pregnant, a literal phobia of being a parent. That doesn't really so much play into it for me, because I did for a long time. I wanted to be a surrogate. Yeah, I wanted specifically to be a surrogate for a gay couple that is already my friend. And I had quite a few who were like kind of thinking about whether or not they wanted to pop out a crotch goblin. But I thought kind of in the same way of why I decided to donate my kidney. It's like, I have the equipment. I'm not using it. I mean, I'm using my kidney, but I only need one. And if somebody else, I feel like sometimes there's something about life. People who really wanted to be parents have always known. My mom's one of these people. Like, she's known since she was 3 years old that she wanted to be a mom. I don't know if I'm missing a gene or like whatever it is, there's a disconnect there. But if somebody says to me, like, I want to be a parent, and if you are a gay couple, obviously you cannot biologically conceive one as of yet. Who's to say? Science is great. But like, if you have made that decision, I want to help you. And I got the goods, and, you know, let's do that. But I also wanted it to be somebody that I already knew, because I know I've read like some stories of kids who were born either surrogates or who were adopted. And there was a bit of an ish in terms of, you know, when other kids or when other parents would say, oh, well, who's your mom? And they didn't really have an answer for it. Mm-hmm. I would like them to be able to point and say, this is my Auntie Barrie. Mm-hmm. I was in her tummy, but these are my dad's. You know, like, so you know where you come from, and like Auntie Barrie is still involved in your life, but not in the parenting aspect. But, you know, I'm 37, so I'm not exactly like high on people's lists of, yeah, let's put a baby in that. So that dream has kind of gone out the window, and that's okay. If I could donate my uterus, I absolutely would.
Yeah. So when was the first time, the first moment you decided, you know, tubal ligation is for me? This is the choice I want to make.
When I was about 17, I finally got up the courage. I think that was the first time I ever had a pap smear without my mom in the room with me. Because finally I was like, you need to not be here anymore. This sucks. This is not fun for me or you, and you need to go now. I had sort of heard about like the concept of getting your tubes tied, but this is very early internet days, and I didn't really know what I was even looking for. And I asked them about it, and they're like, oh, well, you're too young. So it was just sort of dismissed out of hand, which I was 17. That's actually a legitimate thing to say to a 17-year-old. Mm-hmm. in a manner of speaking. So I was like, okay, so I'm too young. All right, so that's the goalpost. All right. So I asked again when I was 19 or 20 or something, or 18 even. No, you're too young. Well, what do you mean? What do you mean too young? Well, I mean, you're so young. You have so much life ahead of you, and you might change your mind. What if your husband wants kids someday, and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera.
And it starts, yeah.
Exactly. If you go down any Reddit rabbit holes about tubal ligations, they have a term which is a little problematic, but it does make me laugh. It's called breeder bingo. And it's all of the like classic lines that people who are pro procreation throw at people like me who are voluntarily child free. And it's the, what if you change your mind? What if your husband wants him? Who's going to take care of you when you're old? I mean, there's dozens and dozens of them. And so they were throwing that at me. And I had answers for everything, but it just, for whatever reason, it wasn't enough for them to be like, okay, let's talk about the process. And it was just a no. It was just no.
Just
and
real quick, where were you? Where was this? Where were you living?
California.
California.
Born and raised.
Oh, so even in California.
Yeah, and that's
like in Texas, I mean, yikes. And Tennessee now too, yikes. But
in a blue district in California.
Okay, sorry to cut you off, but
no. I want that to be known that this is not like some backwater. Oh, they're just so backwards that way. No, this is like suburban Southern California in the early 2000s. They knew better.
Yeah.
So I just, every few years I would try to bring it up again and just kept being told no. And the reasons would change, but it was all the same breeder bingo shit, And at the time, this was before I was going to therapy. So I didn't know that I had intrinsic self-worth yet. And I didn't know that I could say things like, why do you think you know what I want better than I do?
Right.
Person I've never met before.
Right.
And I also want to make the point that it was both male and female doctors who were telling me no. Right. This is across the board. It was more, I saw more male gynecologists than female, but I don't think that necessarily plays into this mindset that caused me to have to wait 20 years to do it. Now, part of it was also, I took a bit of a break for 10 years because I had no medical insurance and I was broke as a joke. So like, even if I could get a yes, there was no way on God's green earth I could afford it. But I've been on Medicaid for the last couple of years, and it is a procedure that is fully covered under Medicaid.
Oh, hell yeah. Okay.
100% fully covered in the state of New York, I should say. Mm-hmm. My friend in Colorado was like, it is. And then it turns out it is not in the state of Colorado. Mm-hmm. And I was like, but there has to be a way. And I'm like trying to like rephrase things. And it's just dark days. Curse you, Blue Shield anthem.
Yeah.
So I was actually really shocked that it was covered under Medicaid because I was prepared to be like, fuck it. Like, I'll pay out of pocket. This is something that I want. And like, I've been on birth control since I was 15. I was on the pill until I was like 29 or so. And then I switched over to a copper IUD just to like give my body a break from hormones. It turned out that was a bad idea. Oh, because it also turns out I have PCOS. And the hormones in the birth control pills were keeping the cysts small. And then when I got the non-hormonal IUD,
they just grew.
And I mean, girl, my flows were like 10 to 12 days each, and it was brutal. Dark days.
I mean, and that's another thing I just want to like clarify to anybody out there that's like, oh, well, why don't you just like stay on birth control? Birth control is like not as much of a permanent option as people think it is. And
it's not a permanent option at all.
Yeah. But people think go on birth control. Just go on there's like a million reasons why some people cannot be on birth control. There's like a million reasons. Mm-hmm. And then there's some people that need to be on birth control for other reasons. And like, that's good for them too. But like this idea that you're just like, oh, well, just be on birth control all the time. It fucks you up for too long after a long time.
It's maddening also how much doctors shove birth control, or at least that's been my experience just as late.
Yeah, mine too.
Right. of just like, but there's other procedures that we could talk about. There's other options rather than, but that's where, I mean, I'm sorry if you're a doctor, I'm just going to say this, but there's got to be some kickbacks here, you know, like,
Oh, I'm sure there are. I'm sure.
yeah. How many like you get bonuses when you get 100 IUDs in or something.
I had a gynecologist that was constantly pushing an IUD in me, constantly, and I was just like, "You must be getting something from this,
Right.
Because there's
Yeah,
no.
why do you
because I
like
told you,
this
like, what else is
more?
there? Can we talk about something else?
Was
Please?
the guy's
No,
last name Morena by chance?
It was not. It was a woman. It was a woman.
I have to do so. I have to.
Morena?
I was so against getting an IUD, and I did just get the Mirena, and right now I love it. It's
Good.
It's
That's
working
good.
for my body, which is
Exactly.
But
It's
that's
working
the crazy
for your
thing,
body.
right? It's different for every single. I had a friend who just had to have it surgically removed from her uterus.
I've had a few
I had
friends
a
that
friend
did that.
Pounded into her.
I had a friend whose IUD was like
Chiseled.
shot out of her body because her body rejected it. I mean, it's like there's a million things that can go
Her
wrong.
body yeeted it out.
Fully yeeted it out, and then she didn't even know. So she's like thinking that everything's normal, and then it's like, no, it's not in there anymore.
That's crazy.
Yeah, I mean, there's a million things that people don't talk about. We need to talk about.
But because I went to my doctor with some pain stuff going on, and it ended up being fibroids, which then I had to have surgery for, and it's very common. But before the surgery, her number one option was a hysterectomy. And I was like, she asked me my age, and
That
I'm a little
escalated
older
quickly.
than you. Yeah, and I was like, literally, whoa, we're gonna do that? I was like, is it diet? And that's the crazy thing is that even just discussing diet, like they're not nutritionists. They don't take nutrition
They don't know.
classes. Yeah. And so again, if you're a doctor and you're listening, maybe just write us in. You know, we're not doctors, but we sure as hell are mad at some of them. Well,
But
anyway,
so-
back to you.
Yes, back to you.
Yeah.
So where were the moments where there was all this stuff about you're too young, you're too young, you're too young, and then did you hit a certain point where you're like, okay, I'm going to try this again. I'm older now. I more clearly maybe can prove that I know what I want, and then you were still having backlash.
Yeah,
I
literally
assume.
like 4 months ago.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
that's insane.
I actually didn't even find this out until I finally met with the doctor who did approve it. So I had to go through. Oh shit! Did I have to go through my GP first? I can't remember. I may have just made a direct appointment at a gynecologist that's in my network to talk about this option, and I met with the guy. I sat down with him. He looks at my chart. He goes, "Okay, blah blah blah. How old are you?" I said 37. He said, "Cool. You're here because you're interested in a tubal tubal litigation. Tubal ligation." I said, "Yeah." He goes, "Okay. How many times have you been pregnant?" I said 0, and his head went whoop, popped up and looked me dead in the eye. He said, "You've never been pregnant?" I said, "No." He said, "So what? So why do you want to get a tubal ligation?" I was like, "Because I want to never be pregnant."
This is infuriating.
Like he looked at me like I had 3 fucking heads. And I look back at him like he had 3 fucking heads. I was like, I don't understand what's unclear here.
Right.
But it's because there's this mindset of the only people that they're like cool with giving a tubal ligation to is women who have already had kids. And
they're still not even cool about that. I mean, there's a million stories of people that
Yep.
have 3
Yep.
kids and they're still not wanting to give them one.
But at least that's like slightly more
Something,
normalized
yeah.
than the freak of nature that is me, who has never wanted
Right.
children and never wants it. Oh my God, there must be something wrong with her. And as a doctor, I'm going to save you from yourself because you surely there is you are wrong about what you want for your life.
Yeah.
And
You must not
I've
know
gone
yourself.
to school to know what you want with your life.
Right.
Is the
Right.
general vibe. So I was like, because I don't want kids. And he said, "Well, you're 37. I mean, women are having babies into their 40s now."
Like, I don't care.
This
Good
was
for them.
this was literally like in November
Oh,
of 2021.
annoying.
And I said, "No, I'm fully aware of that, and I don't want to be one of them."
I know how babies are made, sir.
And you think, certainly by your 30s, you know how your life goes and what you want and don't want. Exactly. But come on.
I'm old. It was mind-boggling. So now he did say that, but he kept like looking at the chart, and I was about to go white knuckled. I'm like, my eyes were like narrowing down. I was like, no, stay in it. We got a fucking fight. We are not taking no. And he said, okay, well, here's the thing. We don't actually do that procedure in this office. What I can do is I can write you a referral to, somebody who does actually do it in their office. I said, okay, fine. It's a soft yes. I will take it. It's the first yes of any kind I've heard in 20 years. So I went skipping out the door with my little, I got the golden ticket. And,
referral. Oh my God.
I literally took an Instagram boomerang of me like, it's like so joyous. So I made the appointment and I went in for it, and I was motherfucking prepared. I had my phone already recording by the time the doctor walked in, because I was like, if I get another goddamn no, I am holding their ass accountable. I'm sending this to the insurance company to be like, they medically denied me for reasons that are non-medical related. I was ready. I had the binder of stuff. And she walks in, looks at my chart and goes, oh, okay, you want a tubal ligation. How does December 29th work for you?
Wow.
Amazing.
I started crying. Just sat there in the chair, and not like sobbing, but just like squinchy little tears just like leaking down my face in a steady stream. And I said, what? What?
Wow.
Let me check my schedule.
Did you talk to the doctor about how hard it had been?
And she said, now here's what's weird though. She said, oh my God, first of all, I can't believe it took you 20 years. And I was like, can't you? And she goes, yeah, I don't understand why people would turn you down. I was like, neither do I. I know why they did, but it's not medical.
Right.
So when she was like, oh, I see that you were referred here by Dr. whatever his name was. I don't understand why he referred you. I said, well, he told me that they don't do the procedure in his office, but that you do it here. And she said, no, they do the procedure in his office.
Oh my God.
He just couldn't bring himself to be the one
to take your
to take my options of procreation away from me. He couldn't. It was he morally objected to it so much. Now, to his credit, he at least sent me to somebody who would do it, as opposed to every other person who just told me no and sent me out of the office. When she told me that, the rage, I went from 0 to 100. I was about to burn some shit down.
Wow. That is insane.
And like at the end of the day, and I had this exact same thought after I finally got, I had a terrible ex-boyfriend who stalked me for 3 years. I had to get an order of protection against him. It was a long process. It was very traumatizing. I had to like keep saying the same story over. It was different story for a different day. Long story short, I was approved. And that feeling of like, finally, like it was the distillation of this moment. But at the same time, I had this like epiphany of, it was so hard to do. It was so hard to get here for someone like me who is fully able-bodied, who has a very flexible job because I'm a freelancer. I have no kids who I have to worry about with daycare. I'm not in school. I don't have a 9-to-5 job that I need to take off in order to go to the fucking courthouse and fight for my right to be safe and get an order of protection against this. Like, I have all of these privileges, and it was still that hard. So I cannot imagine how much harder it is for anybody else who has any of those, speed bumps that they have to take care of, in addition to knowing that you're going to have to like go to court and convince other people that you are in danger, which is essentially what I've had to do with this tubal ligation. Like, I need you to understand, if I get pregnant, I do not wish that child on the world.
I mean, that's the thing. What about, nobody cares about the kids once they're here.
No, of course they
don't. But God forbid, you have any sort of say over your own body.
Right.
And the other thing, and I'm going to say something that's like, I should not even say, but I'm going to just say it because I think it's just another thing that's worth noting if you don't know about how women's bodies work and stuff. There are some women that if they got pregnant, they would die. There are some women that if maybe they have extreme mental challenges and getting pregnant and having a child would be bad, and they know that. these people are still being denied this procedure.
Of course.
Because
there's always
and
hope.
you shouldn't have to, by the way, you shouldn't have to have a reason, a medical reason. It should also be because you're like, no, this is what's right for me.
Right.
But that even people that do have these like extreme medical reasons, they're still being denied.
Mm-hmm. It's absurd. It truly is absurd.
It's heartbreaking. It truly is. And I think like just how you were saying, there's that Maggie Rogers song that I just love. It's called Back in My Body. It's like knowing your body, you're back in your body, or maybe like you're finally in your body for the first time, or but
like claiming the space of it.
Right. And I think of people who maybe were born, a cis woman and then, transitioning. That's where I fell down a rabbit hole on TikTok of understanding, the female body gets a period every month. But if you don't identify as a woman and you have that fucking period every month,
it's gonna fuck with you.
It's gonna fuck with you. It's gonna really fuck with you. And it's just so sad that you can't. I mean, I hope that there are people out there that can find these doctors that you were able to find that you can trust and actually listen to. But just even you, just making that, like, I wish everybody could see you, but it really is like, finally, really owning yourself, and it's a beautiful thing. And it really is. I don't want to say this, but it's like, yeah, after 20 years of fighting, it's a privilege that it was able to happen. But there's so many people.
But also,
out there,
it
I'm
shouldn't
sure.
have to have been.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, that's
should
the
not
part
have been
that's
that hard.
frustrating.
Yeah.
I wonder how
thing,
much
too-
money plays into all that.
But that's the thing. Like,
Insurance and-
usually, I'm the first person to be like, follow the money, follow the money.
They'd get paid more if they had the procedure, if they did the procedures. So I feel like it's not money.
It doesn't feel like I mean, maybe there's something going on behind the scenes that's beyond my tiny girl brain ability to understand. But yeah, I can't fathom what economic impetus there would be behind denying me something like that.
It is a societal thing. And like even these stories that you hear where first of all, they'll say things like, oh, what about your husband? What does your husband want? I'm like, I don't have a husband. Well, let's say you do have a husband. Well, what if your husband dies and you get remarried? What about him? What if he wants to have kids? What is this weird hypothetical thing you're
also,
throwing
why
out
would
there?
I marry a man who wants kids if I don't want kids?
Right, if I don't want kids. I mean, and also if he wants kids and I don't want kids and we decide to get married, then he's going to tough titties for him. I mean, I don't know, like what, that you're going to talk about that before you get married.
Then he shouldn't marry
what are we doing?
me. I feel like,
right.
What
Yeah.
are we
I mean,
missing
it's
here?
like, what is that? And then there are these stories of people, like there was this one woman who, she had already had like 2 or 3 kids. Both parties, the husband and the wife, did not want any more children. So she said to her doctor, I want to get rid of my tubes or whatever, do whatever that. I'm not a doctor, whatever the procedure is. I'm going to erase the tubes. The eating of the tubes. And then the doctor was like, first of all, like, no, you don't know, you might want more kids. And she's like, no, I really don't. Finally, he agreed to do it, but not without the husband signing off. So then the husband had to sign off that he was okay with her eating her tubes. And then he decided to also double down and get a vasectomy. Not only did they just let him get the vasectomy, she didn't have to sign off on him getting a vasectomy.
No, of course not. Because he knows what he wants.
That's what this is about.
No, we're
That's
property.
like at the end of the day
Vessels.
is what this is about.
We're vessels.
You are a vessel. You have no value unless you have children. So it's like these doctors freak out. They're like, oh, I'm going to take your value away from you.
And I'm like,
no.
No,
absolutely
you
not.
take these away from me, it increases my value.
Absolutely.
Because I feel more like myself. My mom, like I said, has known she wanted to be a mom since she was very small. And when I first intimated to her that I don't want to have kids ever, when I was probably like 12 or 13 years old, she said to me verbatim, having children is the most important thing a woman can do with her life.
Oh, God, please. Gag me with a spoon.
That is the correct response. And also shout out for a 90s turn of phrase. Yeah. Much appreciated. Yeah. But that stuck with me because not only, and like she said it in a, I was 12, like, you'll change your mind. But Barry, darling, fruit of my loins, the most important thing that you as a woman can do with your life is to have kids. Didn't you know that? Is that why you don't want to have kids? Is because you didn't know that piece of information? Well, now that you know this information, you're going to change your mind.
It would, and I mean, it's just the whole mentality behind that then being that like your purpose in life is to only serve others, period.
And not only
and they
that,
they don't say that to men. You know what I mean? No. That's not.
And not only that, but like what you were saying about who is this hypothetical man, like the thing you were saying about the woman needing to get her husband's permission. I'm being beholden to a man I don't even know.
No, yeah. Who you may never meet, and that's okay with you.
And also, who's to say I'm straight? Like,
right.
You know, you doctor, you don't know if I'm heterosexual or otherwise. Mm-hmm. You don't know if I have massive sexual trauma and the thought of another person touching me sends me into PTSD. You don't know.
Right. You don't know.
Like, what? I don't understand why. Well, I do. I understand.
Right.
I do not empathize with the impulse to think that that this person, this other person who met me 20 seconds ago,
right,
knows more about what I want for my life long term. Like, if you want to, I don't know shit about how the shin bones are connected to the leg bones. That's your job. I'm right. So excited for you to tell me all about how my rotator cuff is fucked and what you're going to do with it. Right. Live your dreams.
Right.
You don't. What I know about me is that I don't want to procreate. That's not something you can learn about in your textbooks and in your clinical trials.
Right.
Well, and certainly not within 10 seconds, right?
No,
I mean, like,
not.
it's one thing if people were like, hey, cool, you're interested in this thing? Let's talk about it. Here are the pluses, here are the minuses. Let's make sure that you're sure. And then if you're sure, let's go. You know what I mean? Like, that's a conversation. That's something.
It's
if you're
almost
not, if you're worried.
If the conversation is the part that matters, and that's the part they don't want to do.
Sweet dee. To me, it proves that the society and the doctors, men and female and male doctors, don't view women as humans, human people, because they're not having a conversation. They're not saying like, "Oh, this is interesting. Let me make sure that they, if there's a question about it, let's talk about it." No, they just like saying
as a person with a uterus, and so
not
therefore, because I have
you're
a uterus,
just like a walking uterus.
I'm a walking uterus, and because I have a uterus, I must want to use it, and if I'm cutting off the entry port to it, then there must be something wrong with me, clearly. And honestly, you know what sucks is for the last 25 years of my life, I thought they were right. I thought there was something wrong with me. It took me an exceedingly long time to, like, I've never felt compelled to say, okay, well, you know what? I guess you're right. I guess there's something wrong with me. I guess I'll go get pregnant. Never gone down that route, thank God.
Right.
but I know plenty of people who have. And
sure.
So I've never done that, but it took me so long to not only own this thing that I've always known about myself, but to not feel shame about it. It is so exhausting to feel shame about something that you know is like the best choice for you. And also like the concept of me procreating and raising a child, like if I got a boob job and I regretted it, you pop them out, you pay the consequences. Maybe you got some weird scars. That sucks. So I'm sorry that it didn't work out. You decide that you actually didn't want to be a mom. You got a whole ass human. There is another fucking entity that has to pay the consequences.
You're forced to have the child now.
Yeah.
And with these crazy abortion laws that are being passed.
I can't even.
And then the child, I mean, like, it's awful.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah. It's
horrific. So it's, and the thing about like with these abortion laws, there's all this, okay, well, if you don't want to have to deal with this, then just, be pure and don't ever have sex or don't ever get pregnant. And I'm like, that's all fine and dandy. But as somebody who has never been pregnant, has been sexually active, has never been pregnant, and it's because I had access to places like Planned Parenthood when I had $0 to my name and I got birth control through them. It's because I was educated enough to know that I needed to make sure that the guy I'm sleeping with is wrapping his dong and like, all this stuff. It's because I had the education and the resources that I never had to make that decision. I never had to be faced with this scary little plus sign on the pee stick going, oh, fuck, oh, fuck, oh, fuck. But so if that's the case, if what you want is to reduce the number of abortions, then don't make it so fucking hard for people like me who know they don't want to have babies to yeet my tubes. Just let a girl yeet. Right. You know?
No. I mean,
but then they're not advocating for that either. They're making it as hard as possible.
Right.
So it's not about reducing abortion.
We always talk about this. Yeah. They don't.
Because abortions are going to continue. You can outlaw abortions and abortions will find a way. What's the Jurassic Park?
Life finds a way.
Abortions find a way.
Exactly.
But they will kill women because of it, because they'll be unsafe and all that sort of stuff. So it is not about abortions.
No.
It is about
it's control.
It's about the Bible.
It's about control.
Christianity and blah, blah,
but
blah.
It's not even about Christianity.
Well, that's they're hiding behind that.
They're hiding behind that.
Control.
It's about controlling women and like
body.
not letting.
But that's also why I want to be very clear about, the 20 years of no came from liberal Southern California. It had nothing to do with religion.
Well, even that doctor that lied to you and said he didn't do the procedure, wasn't that in New York City?
Yeah.
I mean, what's a more liberal city than New York City? Practically the most liberal, right? So,
I even told the guy that I've been told no for 20 years, and he's like, oh, well, here in New York, we're a little bit more open-minded. I was like, I've been told no in New York City and in LA, which is where I was told no before. So I don't know where you're thinking about.
Yeah.
And also, you're literally telling me no right now.
Right.
God.
Well, you're giving me a soft yes, which is essentially a no.
May I ask how the procedure, was it laser? How did they do that? I don't know. How does
Lasix?
Lasix? Did they go through your eyeballs? No, I don't know. But was it basically how long were you in the hospital for?
I loved the way you
recovery?
physicalized lasers. You were like lightsabers coming from. Is that how this works? Which
Huge
oh my
Star
god,
Wars
can you
fan.
imagine?
I know, right? Yeah.
Oh, if only. It is a laparoscopic procedure.
Oh wow!
Say that 10 times fast.
Nope.
Would you like to see my scars over Zoom?
Sure.
I'd love to if you don't
like to show
Yeah.
us.
It's easier for me to explain it this way. So we got this little guy
They're
right
tiny.
here. They're tiny, tiny. That's where the camera went in.
Wow.
Then that's one, and that's the other.
Wow.
That's it. And this is where I donated my kidney. So that's the weird upside down question mark.
That's a whole other story. So just so for our listeners, they're just what, 4 little tiny scars. Yeah. And they're laparoscopic surgery. They do everything with that laparoscopic surgery.
They're about a centimeter long, each scar. To the point when I took the bandages off, I couldn't find them. I was like, where'd they go?
Wow.
Yeah, it's so laparoscopic. For those who don't know, it means a little camera goes into the area and they inflate the abdomen with carbon dioxide. So it kind of gives them it's like a tent so that they can get into all your squishy bits a little bit easier. But it makes it incredibly less invasive than procedures of the past.
Cutting you open.
Yeah. And so what I actually got, we call it a tubal ligation.
Yeah.
That makes me smile.
I love it.
But
You're welcome.
that's technically not the procedure that I did. A ligation is tied, essentially, tied off. And those ones I think are reversible in certain cases. What they tend to do now, which is what I got, is called a bilateral salpingectomy, which is so much fun to say, which just means they yeeted the tubes all together.
Oh, okay.
So they clampity, or I guess just 2 clamps because it's not actually fully connected to the ovary. So clamp at the place where it connects with the uterus, snip, yeet, sew her up.
And is that just a less invasive then? Because they can just go in with a laparoscopic.
Yep, precisely.
Gotcha.
So it was an outpatient procedure.
Wow.
I was fully put under. I was given an alarming number of Percocet to take home with me.
Yeah, isn't that a whole other thing? My God, that's why we've got everybody.
I was like, thank you. I didn't get that much Percocet after I donated my fucking kidney, which is this big. It's the size of your fist. My tubes were this big. I was like, are you okay? thanks. Yeah, I was in pain because mostly laparoscopic pain is either at the side of the incision or in your shoulders because the gases have to be worked out, which is why you just walk around farting all day. But it tends to accumulate in your shoulders. So like you have a little bit of shoulder pain. That lasted for maybe 2 hours once I got home. I ordered some tacos and petted my cat and watched QI on Amazon Prime for a few hours and fell asleep.
Oh, well, that's good.
That was it. And then for like, I'd say about a week and a half after, I got like tired a little bit more quickly. So like my energy levels took a little bit of time to get back up to normal, but not in any sort of like, what's the word I'm looking for? Like keeping you from doing your normal things, restrictive or, I just had to like parcel out my energy a little bit better for a week or so. But other than that, that was it.
You're feeling great?
I feel great.
Looking fine?
Yeah. Hey, girl.
Yeah.
Hey.
Hi.
Yeah. But the other nice thing too is because it's just the tubes that yeeted, I'll still get my period every month. And I still have my hormonal IUD. Which is great in terms of the hormones being able to regulate the cysts in my ovaries because of the PCOS, which I still have. I did ask them because I was like, yo, if you're going to already be in there, do you want to just yeet the ovaries while you're in there? And then I don't have PCOS anymore. We're all excited. They're like, do you want to have early onset menopause? And I said, touche. No, I do not. Right. So we kept the ovaries. But by yeeting your tubes, and this is not something that they tell you when you ask for a tubal ligation, it decreases your risk of ovarian cancer by about 60%.
Are you fucking kidding me?
What? This is what kills me. It's like... They don't care about us. They don't care about us.
All I gotta say is that they don't really care about us.
It's true. They don't. It's true. They don't. I mean, that proves that they don't care. It's not that I thought they
it's
cared
not
before,
about
but
women's health. It's not about women's autonomy, bodily autonomy.
No.
It's not even about Christianity. It's about control.
Yeah. And this very deep-seated feeling and thought in men and women, and because of the patriarchy, that women are not that valuable, at the end of the day. And that, like and bless your mother's heart, but like how she said, the most important thing a woman can do is have a baby,
And one of the other breeder bingo phrases is, I didn't know what true love meant until I had a kid. And I'm like, wow, that's really special. And I'm happy that you have this amazing feeling. I donated a kidney and saved somebody's life. Like that feels really fucking good too. Is it equitable? No. Is it the exact same thing? No, of course not. But like, why are you gatekeeping love?
Yeah. Who the fuck? Have you tried fettuccine Alfredo from Olive Garden fresh out of the oven? That's fucking love.
Yo.
Come on.
Have you taken a gummy and gone to an aquarium? Like... Get into it.
Exactly. Yeah. I took a gummy and went to the David Bowie exhibit at the Brooklyn Museum. It was the best day of my fucking life.
I saw that exhibit.
That was like,
wasn't it the greatest?
Oh, it was so good. And I'm not even a huge Bowie fan, but I was like, this is an experience.
Oh, it was so
on a
great.
gummy, I can't even imagine.
Yeah, they found me drooling in a corner and they're like, "Miss, you have to leave." And I was like, "Okay." So fun.
I didn't know true love until I took a bath while eating mozzarella sticks. So
yes.
Until you do that, like what?
Don't tell us. Yeah,
but that's like.
Well, and the truth is, sometimes people have terrible children. Like, don't tell me that everybody actually loves their kids that much. I know that's not true. We all pretend like we do. Well, I'm sorry, I'm not allowed to say that, but it's true. And I mean, there's people. Some of these kids are bonkers. Like some of them are
they're really
humans.
unattractive. I'm sorry,
just
really gross
terrible
babies
people.
out there.
I think a lot.
But even not just a grown up. The kids grow like they're not. So babies are one thing, but then like they grow up to be humans, and then you have to
adults.
like deal with that human. And some of them are harmful. Somebody had
funny.
Trump.
Yeah,
somebody had that baby. You know what I mean? I'm just saying
on purpose.
On purpose.
Right. What's that
so,
about?
I mean, don't tell me that, like, do you think Trump as a baby is like, oh, this is love? No, get the fuck out of here.
At the same time,
I'll die on that hill.
that's a fun hill. But at the same time, I think part of the thing that's ingrained in us and part of the thing that I think my mom why she said what she said and said it sincerely and not in a way of like, in an admonishing way, is like, there's something about giving birth to a kid that seems to like allow you as a parent to feel that kind of love. And that's scary because you're giving that responsibility to a fetus, which is, you know, it's not great to be born and already have a job. So love yourself first. Have compassion for yourself first. Find that true love to yourself first. And if you still want to make a human, you fucking make a human, and it's going to be cute, and I will squish it, and you can have play dates with me and my cat, and we'll bake cookies, and then you can go home. But like, don't put the onus of teaching you about true love by creating a human being. Because
so
you're
many
making
people
it
do
about
that.
you and not them.
Right. And I think that that's actually a very, very good point, too, about the reasons why people have children. Because I think that more often than not, people want to have little mini-me's, or they want to have, you know, or they feel empty inside. So they think that this baby will fill a hole in their heart. And you're like, no. That baby is a person. It's not just like a little love nugget. It's like, no, this is like a pooping, vomiting, like screaming, loving, hating human person the minute it comes out, and you're gonna fuck it up if you like treat it like that. You're
gonna fuck it up if you need it to be what you couldn't give yourself.
Right. And exactly like you said, if you need it to fill something in you, some empty hole in you, it's like, no, that's not how this works.
Yeah. And like I am a huge mental health advocate. I've been back in therapy for a few years. I've been on and off with therapy. I'm finally medicated. What a dream.
Whoop, whoop.
The struggle of getting fucking diagnosed and medicated for ADHD and depression and anxiety is a whole different podcast. But like, thank God that my core knew that I didn't want to procreate, because like unpacking my own trauma and confronting it and healing and forgiving myself and not feeling shame about the things I had to do to survive as a kid, like unpacking all those squiggly little strings is a monumental task. And I'm glad I'm doing it. And sometimes it's hard. Sometimes it's shockingly easy, like putting down very heavy suitcases. But that's work that I need to do. And I cannot fathom how anybody could do that if you also have to rear a tiny human at the same time.
You can't. I mean, you need to be, like you said, you have to take care of, love yourself first. And then if you've gotten through some of that work and you're ready, then the other thing I got to just say, and I've been thinking about this a lot lately, most people, I think, have children and they've never spent time with children. They don't know anything about children. Yes. I know so many people that like, they're like, oh, we're having a baby. Like, and they barely babysat in their lives. And then they're like, oh, what do we do? What do we do? And you're like, yeah, like this is, you don't even know what you're getting yourself into. Especially people, I think, that are from like these people that get like, you know, corporate jobs right out of school and stuff.
Where like
they don't,
that's
they
the
just,
pipeline.
they just don't know we don't know what children are like. They have no idea.
They just know it's like something you're supposed to do.
You're supposed to do. Yeah. Oh yes, I want children.
To climb the ladder, you have to show what you have. Yeah.
I worked at the Children's Museum for a couple of years, and like that was fun, but like talk about like shriveling up your ovaries or whatever.
But that's
like,
also reality. But at the same time, I know plenty of friends who, you know, have babysat all their lives and have worked in daycares or are teachers for, you know, preschool, and they love being around kids. And like,
of course,
that is something they like, it brings them joy. And I'm like, you are the kind of person who should have a kid.
Of course.
Because you grasp what the world is through these little eyes. You're not trying to see it through your own lens. You're seeing it through their lens, and you're giving them the help that they need, not the help that you need.
Yes. And I don't mean to say that nobody should have kids, because that's not it either. But I just am saying that like there's plenty of people out there that had kids thinking that they knew what they were thinking that they wanted it, thinking when maybe in actuality it was that they were told that they were supposed to want those things. And I personally,
by doctors who kept telling them that they were supposed to have kids for 20 years.
And their parents, and they're, you know what I mean? And
they're
like
everybody.
That.
Yeah.
And they're everybody. And I've just recently I still don't know what my deal is with kids. I just don't know.
And that's okay too.
Yeah. And that's okay too.
Good Lord.
But I did finally have a moment where I realized, like, whether I have kids or not, I also have never been somebody that was like playing with baby dolls and like just like, oh, I just can't live without the idea of being a mother. I'm like, maybe I will, maybe I won't. My mother was like that too, honestly. She wasn't gonna have kids. It was like an accident baby a little bit. But yeah, but I mean, so at least like I think she still puts pressure on me a little bit, but I think she gets it because she was in a similar boat.
Sure.
But I just didn't have that. I don't have that gene. I think I'd be a great mother. I like kids. I really do like kids, believe it or not, even after everything else.
No, I absolutely do believe it. I honestly think, and this is another fucking breeder bingo thing, is oh, well, you just don't like kids then, or like you must hate kids then. Right. And I'm like, no, that's not why I choose not to have a child of my own. Yeah. Those are two separate entities, but they're trying to justify it in their head somehow of like, this thing that I've always been told is the thing that I have to do with my life. You're telling me you don't want to do it with your life. And I need to figure out why that is. And so therefore there must be something wrong with you. And they'll go through the fucking gambit. Whole ass strangers have asked me, oh, do you just hate kids then? And I'm like, who raised you?
Yeah.
Why? Oh my God. I have to tell you the story. So the morning I went in to yeet my tubes, it was at godforsaken early in the morning. I was the first surgery of the day at 7:30. I had to be there at 5:30.
Another reason why kids are tough, because you have to wake up at 5:30.
Hard
anyway,
no.
Side note.
My cat was like lying next to my leg and was like, "Why are you awake?" I was like, "I don't know." So you have to fast, the night before. So you couldn't even drink. You could take like a little bit of water, but no coffee, which makes me a danger to myself and others. But so I get to the hospital. I'm doing the whole check-in process, blah, blah, blah. And I'm filling out, the 97th form of the day. And at this point, it's like 6:30. So I've been awake for like 2.5 hours. I know I'm about to go under into sleepy land, but like in the meantime, I got to kind of, keep myself awake. Mm-hmm. And the woman behind the nurse behind the desk who was helping me, the registration, she's like, asking me questions, blah, 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 going down. And then she says, okay, who's picking you up today? I said, my friend Molly, here's her phone number. Great. Do you have anybody, do you live with anybody in terms of like, if there's somebody who could fetch something for you? And I said, no, I live alone. She goes, oh, it's okay, honey. You're still young. You'll find somebody. Ugh. And I looked up at her. I said, that's bold of you to assume that I want that. And she said, what? I said, bold of you to assume that I want that. And she was like, oh, yeah. Anyway, so what's your address?
Thank you. Thank you for speaking up and saying, because there's so many of us that just like have our hearts sink and just go on throughout the day.
I will chalk part of that up to the fact that I was uncaffeinated.
Whatever it takes.
The spite was high. But 25-year-old me would never have said that. Right.
Also, how dare her say that? Like, for in the profession she's in, and the procedures that are happening in there. Yeah, you don't know.
I like to eat alone a lot, and the hostess always has to tell me, "Oh, honey, just
really?
Just one."
God.
Oh,
do you think I'm here with my head between my head hung low and my tail between my legs? No, I'm here because I want to be here.
Happy as fuck.
It is happy hour, and I'm about to fuck up these truffle fries. Like, get away from my face. So I told her that, but I was just like, it fucked with me because I was like, fuck me. The day I'm going in to like have this triumphant moment of getting this procedure I have been waiting so long for, and people have been judging me for all my fucking life for wanting this procedure. And at the finish line, the place you think you're safe, at the fucking hospital that's about to do this procedure, somebody makes an unsolicited comment and judgment about your life based on the fact that you are single, unmarried, without children. And the woman behind the desk, she was my age. She wasn't, some 80-year-old biddy who just, wants to cuddle her grandkids so that she can bake them cookies and knit Afghans. Like, it was a woman my age who decided that this was an appropriate moment to say, oh, I'm sorry that you're single. You must be so sad about that.
Also, more and more and more and more and more and more evidence is coming out that the happiest humans on the planet are single women. And men don't want to hear it. Nobody wants to hear it. Married people don't want to hear it.
I'm the happiest I've ever been.
And it has been proven over and over and over and over. And people don't like it, but it's true. And we're here. And we like it.
And we're
feeling good.
It's so freeing.
It's so freeing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's taken me a lot of work to get to happiness being alone, but now that I'm here,
I'm sure part of it is because you've constantly been told that you're not going to be happy unless you have a partner.
Exactly.
Because you need to define yourself by somebody outside of yourself, be it a partner or a child, or you can't be enough just as you are in your own body. That is the constant messaging that we get as women, and it's so exhausting. 0 out of 10 stars. Would not recommend. Like, Christ on a buttery Ritz cracker. Like, could we not, though? It is so hard to exist as a human being as a concept already, regardless of what socioeconomic status you're in, no matter the color of your skin, no matter your gender. Existing is hard. Why are you making it harder?
Right.
Yeah.
Can I just sip some Chardonnay and pet my cat and watch Drag Race and like live my life? Why do you need to have your nose in my asshole?
You're not hurting anybody. Right.
Yeah.
Exactly. And that's the thing. I yeeted my tubes so that I don't hurt anybody.
Right. Exactly.
I am a danger to my future progeny. So therefore, like, I don't wish this anxiety and depression on anybody else. The bloodline ends with me, bitch. Like,
Yeah.
No. No. We don't need any of that. But also, like, I've had people tell me, like, oh, well, isn't there anything that you want to, like, pass on to a younger generation? I'm like, yes, absolutely. And I do. And I don't have to make a person in order to pass knowledge on to a new generation.
No, of course.
My friend who's staying with me right now, my friend Hope, she and I, we're both child-free. And our friend Jamie and Alf, they have the cutest little boy, Dylan. And we have dubbed ourselves the badass non-genetically related aunties. And like, that's an important position in society.
Yeah.
We are here
so.
to love this boy.
Yeah. No, and I have friends with children that I just adore.
Yeah.
And I want to see them as much as I can. And I talk a lot of shit about kids, but mainly just because I'm just so angry about this idea that people want to force it on me.
That you're somehow not whole unless you have this thing. And again, I'm like, have you eaten fresh fettuccine? Because that makes me feel pretty whole.
Right. Well, thank you so much. This has been
amazing.
Yeah, and I know that we've been trying to get you on for a while, and we just really appreciate.
That's right. Yeah.
So glad.
Yeah. The first procedure got canceled because my surgeon got COVID the night before.
Oh no.
Relatable.
So, but yeah, a dream delayed is still a dream. At least it happened.
That's great.
Yeah, thank you.
Where of course. And you have a show coming up called Island Girl, and I want you to tell us about that and other places where our listeners can find you and all about what you do.
Sure. So I made a one-woman show. I'm ethnically Hawaiian. My family, many, many years ago, lived there. And so we grew up with a lot of Hawaiian traditions in my home. And I made a whole show about it, about my connection to Hawaiian culture. And it's really fun. It's music. It's ha-cha-cha, it's ukulele, it's the whole 9 yards. I'll be performing it live here in New York City at the end of May. The date has not been set yet, but if you want to follow me on the Instagrams, I am at Barrie Kealoha, BarrieKealoha. I will have all of my information there. I also did a series. I started it at the beginning of the Pandemic Lovato 2 years ago, called the 1 minute one woman show. Some people may have seen that. I do like 1 minute versions of different shows, different movies. I did Hamlet. I did I did Sweeney Todd. I did in the Heights, like all this stuff. So that's on YouTube if you are interested. I also do personalized videos as Moana. I've done that for
amazing
for children for the last couple of years. So if you want Moana to say happy birthday to your wee baby, you let me know.
I love it.
Gosh, yeah. And yeah, I do most of my income comes from doing voiceover, so you'll probably hear my voice narrating audiobooks or selling you Budweiser in Spanish or actually I just recorded a spot for customizable windows and doors for brand new homes. Would you like to hear about the Coastal Collection in muted tones and bold corals? Yeah.
Wow, you're good.
Thank you.
I have to say, I got a chance to work with Barrie a little bit on a music video. It's coming out. I promise. There's been a lot of edits, but you are just extremely talented on so many different levels. You really are one of these like extraordinarily talented people and very funny, and like you just got it all.
Thank you.
So definitely check Barrie out.
Thank you so much. And I only had to pay her $20 to say that. That is a steal.
I'm an easy sell.
Oh, I'm also I'm also part of
yes.
the group called America's Sweethearts. We do vintage vocal trios, sort of like the Andrew Sisters. Check them out on Instagram as well.
Oh, that's so cool.
Yes, amazing.
Thank you.
Well, thanks
thank you
again
so much
for
again.
trusting us with your story.
Oh God, I'm so glad that you gave me a platform to like consolidate this whole rigmarole. But also, if I know I've mentioned a few times in this, but I did donate my kidney a year ago. I did. I'm a non-directed donor, meaning I donated to a stranger. If that is of interest to anybody out there who is listening, I made a short form podcast about it called Renal 911, RENAL. So feel free. But also I do talk a lot about bodily autonomy in that. And it was a hard process to get to that point too. And I was like, I'm literally trying to save someone's life. Can you please help me? So there's a lot of the Venn diagram of that process and this process is, not unrelated. So I'm just so delighted that I got to talk about this, and I hope that anybody out there who has been considering this, like, please feel free to reach out to me. I will answer any questions you have. I have resources. There's a Reddit thread that has a whole listing of doctors that are like child-free friendly people across the United States. I can direct. I will help. I will help in any way that I can because
love it.
You should be able to do this.
Thank you so much.
Yes, thank you.
What a delight.
You're so welcome. Thank you, ladies.